All right, beautiful day. This is the house. All right, let's get our notes, get our gear. We've got a flashlight. We've got our fanny pack with some tools and chalk in it. So we'll go ahead and grab that, get our stuff set up. I've already got my special shoes on here. These are called cougar paws for when I do get up on the roof. These will protect me while protecting the roof at the same time. Okay, we've got a flashlight that we may or may not need. And then, most important thing, we've got our notes. All right, so we're gonna go and make contact with you or whoever's inside the home. Let them know what we're gonna do. We're gonna walk around the entire perimeter of the house, make sure the gates are unlocked, dogs are put up. And then after the walk around the whole house, we're gonna set up the ladder, get up on the roof. And then we may or may not need to go in the attic today if we have time. And then we'll come back down and have a whole summary of what's going on your house and up on your roof. All right, so let's go ahead and start with taking our first photo here. We'll pull out the app that we use is Company Cam, and it allows us to generate a website link to send to your phone, and we'll text that to you. And I'm going to take the first photo and I'm going to zoom out as if I was a real estate agent selling your house. I want to take the first photo to get the best curb appeal, and now I'm going to generate a link. I'm going to text it to you so that now as I start inspecting your house all the way around, up on the roof, in the attic, every photo or video that I take, you can actually click that link at any time and see what I'm doing, see where I'm at, see what photos I'm taking, and everything will be in real time uploaded so you can supervise me while you're inside and I'm outside. All right? So let's go ahead and get started. And we'll start to get closer to the house to see if there's any evidence of hail, wind damage, any other mechanical damages that may have already been there prior to the storm or not. So when we get up to here, you can actually start seeing little tiny bits of possible hail damage. I call it evidence of hail damage because I can't guarantee exactly what it's from because I wasn't here. But these little tiny spots here, I'm going to take pictures of those, are indicating evidence of hail. And as we go on to this side, you can actually see some more obvious ones over here where hail has knocked out the stain or the finish of these wood columns. And so here at Arc Roofer, we do roof, gutters, and paint. So we can take care of all of these things that we're seeing right now. So we'll go ahead and notate any of that. Now while I'm up here, I'm also notating how the actual roof is breathing. And there's actually soffit vents where the roof hangs over, little perforated holes right underneath here. That tells me that this part of the roof is vented, and I need to understand how much intake air, fresh air, is going to be going into the attic so that I know what the best solution is for the exhausting air for all the heat and moisture on top of the roof. So all of these things, I want to make sure I collect all of this evidence, all of this information, so that I can consult you and educate you on how to build the perfect roof for your family. All right, so now we've got these painting elements on the front posts, the stained wood. Now we're gonna go right to these downspouts on the front and kind of see what's going on, if there's any dings in those as well. So we'll walk over here. All right, so we're walking up to this downspout, and the first thing I see is a couple dents here, here, and one a little bit higher. Now, I could get out my chalk and I could easily rub out one of those downspouts. And if you see a perfectly smooth, round, circular dent, that is most likely evidence of hail damage. Now for dents that might be a little smaller or harder to see, I brought my handy dandy flashlight here that we can turn on and actually start seeing dents that might be a little bit harder to see. So both of those ways is how I detect if there's hail damage or evidence of hail damage on any metal object. I have both of these techniques. I only need one dent of hail damage for each metal object that I find for the insurance to pay to replace that particular item. So after I find the damage, notate it, I want to get out my company cam app that I sent you the link to earlier, and I want to make sure, take a photo of it up close and also a little bit further away so I have perspective on whose house this downspout belongs to, so I have further evidence to prove my case, right? And now after I'm done with that, I want to make sure to pull out my notepad. Since we're on the front elevation, on the front here, I'm going to put DS for downspout. I'm going to put 1. Get out my measuring tape, and I'm going to notate that this is a 3-inch by 2-inch downspout. So these are standard size downspouts. I'll go ahead and notate that for my records as well, and I'll get one more photo of it. So we got 2-inch by 3-inch. Okay, we'll get out that one more time. Okay. All right, let's move on to the next. Okay, so we finished up the front elevation of the house. Now we're on the left elevation, and the first thing we do is we step all the way back. We get an overview shot, or 2 or 3, of the entire left side. Now I can start walking a little bit closer, and I'm just gonna go ahead and start looking at the garage doors for right now. And while I'm walking close to the garage door, I actually noticed something. There's some cracking right here on the concrete, and I highly doubt that that was from the hailstorm that happened a few months ago. But I still want to notate and document it just to show that this was here before we put any trucks on this property or this driveway, and just to show for liability reasons that Arc Roofer is not the one that damaged that. That was pre-existing. So some of these photos are for Arc Roofer's purpose. Some of them are going to be for your purpose. Some of them are going to be for the insurance's purpose. And all of these photos provide some type of value for someone. So I want you to know that before we move forward. All right, now we're about to start looking at this garage door. I don't want to really get my chalk out and just start rubbing the whole entire garage door. If there's no damage, I don't want to put all this chalk on it, right? So I'm going to get out my flashlight for something like this, unless it's super obvious. I don't see much on here just to begin with, but as I'm actually shining my light, I see right here, you can actually, I'm going to get a picture of that. You can actually see a dimple right there. It may or may not be from hail. I can't guarantee that, but I am going to at least notate it and show the insurance adjuster whenever he or she comes out here to look at the roof. So we'll go ahead and notate that, and then we'll start walking around and looking at some other things on the left elevation. Just because we might have some evidence of hail damage on this garage door, I definitely want to open it up, see what's on the inside of the garage door, so I can understand what quality the garage door is made of. So on the inside here, you can actually see, and I'm going to go ahead and start taking photos. But this is an insulated door. It seems to be a vinyl back insulated door. And usually there's some serial number or barcode or something on the actual edge of the door that you may not be able to see on your end, but over here, I can actually see a code that tells me what type of garage door it is. I can send it to the garage door company for them to look up, just to see if they make this type of door still. Sometimes if you have a garage door that's older than 10 years, most likely it's discontinued and you would have to replace the entire door even if only one panel was damaged. So it may or may not be the case here, but I want to be extra prepared and do my due diligence so that if I need it, I have it. All right, so now we're in the rear elevation. I've already taken my rear overview shots that I needed to indicate and show the entire back side of the house with the pool included and any personal property in the backyard. So after I've done that, first thing I'm seeing is the AC unit connected to the house. So we're gonna go ahead and just walk over here. I wanna see how the unit is connected to the house. So I know if that line is running up the wall and into the attic. That would tell me I need to do an attic inspection to make sure that attic insulation line, the refrigerant line, is not touching the roof deck from the underside. I also need to see if there's any evidence of hail damage or anything going on with the AC unit. So some of these are really hard to actually wipe chalk on because they're a slippery metal surface. Some of these fan covers right here are dented, like you've got a couple minor little dings here. I'm gonna go ahead and take these pictures showing that the fan protector here, a couple of these runs have kind of dented in just a little bit. So we'll go ahead and notate that. Take pictures of where and how it's connected to the house and what wall it's on. And then get out my note folder here and make sure to notate on the rear elevation that I'm gonna put AC fan cover. I'm gonna put that there's only one. So that'll tell me in my notes what's going on back here in the rear. And then usually we also look at windows, window screens, stucco, paint, anything related to the outside of the house that could have been damaged by the hailstorm or the windstorm. So just take note of that as well. But while I'm looking here, there's a playscape that we're gonna call personal property. Now, any personal property that gets damaged should also be covered under your insurance if there is an insurance claim. But for this house right here, we're gonna look at the playscape. So this playscape is showing a lot of different type of damage. I see normal wear and tear. I see maybe a couple scratches from an animal or a cat or a dog. And I also see little evidence of hail damage as well, kind of all mixed together. So I want to make sure to take pictures of it all, document it all, and at least show the insurance adjuster when he comes out here. Some of this might be a little bit tougher to justify because it's all mixed in with all the normal wear and tear. You might hear that phrase a lot, especially if you're getting involved through the insurance claim journey. But here at Arc Roofer, we want to really make sure that we not only educate you, but we make the adjuster and the insurance aware of any little details, minor, medium, or major, that is going on your property, because those things should be covered. And we're here to protect you from the storm and make sure that that happens as well. All right, we'll go ahead and take pictures of this now. We've got a pool here in the backyard, so I want to make sure to get a couple shots real quick and just take a look around the pool too. Sometimes you can see evidence of hail damage around the pool surface. I don't really see any here, so I don't need to really take any photos here, but what I want to do is notate that there's a pretty good sized pool here at this house, because if we do actually move forward and we are going to do some work here, especially replace the entire roof, I want to know how to best protect this pool. So I've got pictures of it. I've got notes indicating that we've got a pool in the backyard. And so I'm gonna order a very large pool tarp and make sure that this entire pool is covered for when we're tearing off the original roof. So very important. I don't want to get this any nails or any old staples coming off. If you get any of metal object or a staple in your pool and it's left untreated, it can actually rust the bottom section or part of your pool. Then you would have to get the entire pool drained, resurfaced, and then fill the entire pool back up. I don't want to be liable for that. That's why I'm taking the extra step to notate it so I know how to prepare for your roof job to protect your pool before we even start the job. We've kind of recapped everything around all 4 elevations of the house. We just finished up the final elevation, the back side. So we're done on the ground. Now we've got to go ahead, go back to the truck, get the ladder, make sure our shoes are tight, and set on up and hit the roof, see what's up there. All right, got the ladder. Close the tailgate. All right. Well, now this is the exciting part. You get to set this ladder up, see what's up on the roof. So I'll have a whole story to tell once I'm done. We're gonna make sure to set the ladder up the proper way. So we're gonna teach you how to do that. So protect the gutter system, protect the actual house and the roof while keeping us safe and doing it the professional way. So here we go. We've got to get prepared, set up, and bring all the proper tools so that we, for one, don't damage the gutter or the roof that we're about to get up on. So I've got a gutter protector here with a pole, and I'm going to insert into this gutter here. As best as I can. Okay. Just like that. So that's going to protect the ladder from scratching up the gutter and damaging anything up there while keeping us safe and the ladder stabilized just in case it is a windy day or something like that. So it's protecting us, it's protecting the roof, and doing it the professional way. So now we're going to set up the ladder. All right, so we've got the gutter protection set up, so now we can put up our ladder. And I'm going to show you how we safely put it up the right way. And sometimes if you have a bush right in front of you or some kind of obstacle, I'll show you how to overcome that too. When we unclip the side, raise it up enough. Because we have this bush, we might have to lean this ladder a little bit over with a steeper angle. So we're gonna lift that bottom one there. And because I don't want this to actually kick out, we're gonna lift this up. Plant those feet into the ground so that when we stand on it, it's locked and loaded, very secure. We stand up, our hands are going to touch perfectly right here. That means it's the safest pitch to protect me while I'm walking up the ladder, so the ladder doesn't tip backwards while I get up there, and the feet don't kick out when I get up there as well. So this is safe, professional, and there's 3 steps above the actual eave or the gutter line, because that's also a code requirement for safety reasons when you set up a ladder. All right, so next we're gonna get up on the roof and see what it looks like. Okay, now we got the ladder set up, so I'm gonna go ahead and start climbing up. Slow and steady always wins the race. So we're gonna get up here, and before I actually get on the roof, I wanna stop here and I wanna actually look at a few different variables to see what I'm working with, to see about how the gutters were installed to the roof, if there's any flashing and how that was installed behind the gutters, what's underneath these shingles. It'll tell me how many times this roof's been replaced, if they cut corners or not, voided any warranties. So the first thing I'm gonna do, just while I'm here, I know that hail was in this area, so I'm gonna get out my chalk that I have wrapped up in a cloth, and I'm just gonna see by rubbing the top of this gutter lip. So right here already, I'm gonna draw an arrow, and I'm gonna label it F for front, but you can see a pretty good sized dimple right there on the top lip of the metal gutter, indicating that this is evidence of hail damage from the last hailstorm. Okay, so now I've indicated that there's evidence of hail damage on this metal gutter here, and so I'm gonna go ahead and document it with my company cam app that I've already told you about. All right, now that photo is gonna upload in real time to that link that I gave you already. And let's go ahead and put it back in here and see what else we got. So I'm gonna lift up the edge of these shingles, see how these gutters are actually installed to the house, see if there's any flashing on the edge of this eave right here. And I do see there is metal flashing, which is called drip edge, on the eave of the roof. And the gutters are actually installed on top of it, which means they're backwards. So if it rains, wind-driven rain can actually get behind these gutters and start rotting out the fascia, the wood that is on the edge of this roof. So I'm going to notate that with my camera as well, get into my company cam app and document that. What I'm also seeing under here is I'm pulling up the felt paper just to make sure there's one layer, or maybe two or three, and it shows that there's one layer of felt paper, and it's an upgraded synthetic version of felt paper. So I need to document that for insurance purposes, because insurance is supposed to owe what you currently have. And a lot of times they only pay for the regular organic tar paper, which is felt paper that builders use. And we want to make sure, since they already have upgraded stuff that I'm seeing, we want to make sure the insurance pays wholly on the better quality items that I'm finding. So I'm going to upload that as well into my file, and those might be used for insurance purposes as well. All right, so after that, let me get out my tape measure, and I just want to measure how big these gutters are, get a photo of that. Okay, we've got 5-inch powder coated seamless gutters. All right, and all the miter joints where they're seamed together at the corners, I'm going to take a photo of them actually using screws instead of rivets. Screws are a little bit cheaper, so if they want rivets, it would be a little upgrade for you to choose from. All right, and now last thing I do before I get up is get out my note folder, and I'm just going to make some detailed notes while I'm here so I don't forget about it, so I don't have to go back through every photo and understand what was going on. So on the front elevation, I'm going to put gutters are damaged over here and label them the size 5-inch powder coated. And then on my notes here, I'm going to put on here gutters are installed backwards, so I can do some education when we get inside the home. Okay? All right, so now we're about to get up on the roof safely and see what's up there. All right, so now we're here near the top of the roof. The first thing we're going to do, climb all the way to the top. And while I'm actually climbing, I just remembered I wanted to let you know that safety is a big concern of ours. And so for that reason, we actually are going to wear a shoe called a cougar paw shoe. And I'm going to lean over just a tad and show you the bottom of these shoes. There's actually a foam pad to protect me from slipping, so to keep me safe on your home, but it's also to make sure that I don't damage your roof. If you don't need a new roof, I don't want to walk all over your roof and damage it by not wearing the proper equipment and wearing the right shoes. So I want to make sure that I'm safe, your roof is protected, and everything is done the most professional way. All right, so now we're at the top of the roof. We're right here. We can see the metal sections down here. We can see pretty much most of the roof just from this one spot. We might have to move around a little bit, but what I'm going to do at the very top of the roof, first thing I do is get overview photos of every single side, every section of this roof, so I know what I'm working with. I can see what the roof looks like. If I need to label any sections or areas, I have those photos to do so. So I get out my company cam app and I just start taking 360 view photos of the whole roof, and then I'll go around to the other side and do a 360. Since the roof in the house is so big, I need to go and do a 360 in maybe 2 or 3 different spots. So after that's done, then we'll go on to the next step. All right, so now that we kind of know what size hail we're working with based off the chalk that we did on some of the metal components, before I actually start looking at the shingles for any particular damage, I have noticed here on some of the flashings around the roof that, one, they used nails, okay? So they used nails to fasten all of the exposed flashings on the entire roof. Now, a lot of people will say that's okay because that's normal standard industry here in the roofing industry, but I've got a better solution for you that we'll talk about later. Another thing is they used to be caulked because they are exposed. And a lot of times if you caulk something on a roof, the caulk only lasts 1, 2, maybe 3 years at the most. So if you've got nails and they're needing to be caulked, you're gonna have to go ahead and maintenance your roof every 2 to 3 years, and that can be costly. So there's ways to prevent that we can get into later. But for this particular house, we've got caulk that has been cracked, it's missing, and it's causing issue and water entry points for the homeowner to create urgency to do something pretty fast. Even on the edge of some of the flashings, you'll see the caulking is cracked and missing. And so wind-driven rain can actually get in between and underneath that flashing, trail down the nail head and into the house. So we're gonna look for things like that as well that might be unrelated to what insurance would cover, but is definitely something very valuable for you to know on your home. All right, so we kind of talked about caulking, having maintenance if it's caulked because it cracks and gets brittle, breaks off, whatever. The next thing we're gonna show you is when that happens over time, if you don't maintenance your roof, all of those exposed nails are gonna start to form rust, and then they're gonna actually start moving up and down and backing out naturally through the contraction and expansion over the seasonal changes of hot and cold. So we're gonna show you what that looks like as well, and we'll of course document that while we're up here on this roof. All right, now we're on the back side of the roof. And we noted on the front side, we did see that gutter right off the ladder that was damaged, that had evidence of hail that we marked with an F and drew an arrow. So down here on the back side, I need to find the back, the front, the left, and the right, at least one ding for each run, so that the insurance would have to pay to replace these gutters. And so that's just what qualifies if the insurance is going to step in and fund this gutter project. So that's part of my inspection process, is to not only look and find it, but document with photos and my notes. So as we walk down here, I actually see a perfect one right there. I'm going to draw an arrow, label the arrow with a B for back, and then I'm gonna go ahead and document that with my company cam app. And I take a far away, and then I take a close-up of the same spot so I can also tell whose house this gutter belongs to. Sometimes that's the key. Now, as I kind of walk this way, I'm starting to see a little bit more debris in the gutters. Now here it's pretty clear away from the trees, but as you get a little bit closer to these trees, you'll actually start seeing that all of this debris is clogging that downspout, which is right there below that gutter, right there where all the water is supposed to drain out. Now what happens if all of your gutters are clogged? Well, when it rains and it can't drain out, all the water is going to fill up to the top of these gutters, and the water can actually start backing up into underneath your shingles, and it can start rotting out part of the roof deck, the fascia, and possibly even get down some exterior walls inside the home. So we want to make sure that when we're building a new roof, we're also talking about putting together the right system for the whole house, and the gutters are a big part of that. And we want to make sure for this particular house, investing in possible gutter helmets or nice gutter screens that will help eliminate the maintenance and save you money in the long run. All right, guys, so one of the other random things that you may see pictures of is us taking pictures of a shingle gauge that looks like this. And the reason that we actually measure, we'll pull back a little corner of just the base layer of one of your shingles. And we'll insert whatever type of shingle it is, either a laminated, which most people know as architectural, or flip it, a 3-tab, which is probably what your ridge caps are. And we'll take whatever shingle you have and we'll slide that on the corner, kind of like a dog ear. And I'm going to go ahead and take a picture of this to notate what quality of shingle that you have. And so the reason for that is if insurance is going to fund this job and they're only paying for the base quality and you might have one step up, I want to make sure to indicate that with evidence so I can prove to them they might have to pay a little bit more so that you don't sacrifice on the quality of shingle on your next re-roof. So let me go ahead and document that with a photo indicating the quality of shingle that you have. And then we'll just lay that back flat like that. And we'll go and see actually also what kind of ridge cap you have for the same exact reasons. So I'm gonna just scoot one leg up here. And this, you really don't need a shingle gauge to determine the ridge cap. You kind of just need to lift up a little bit and you can see how the shape is, how it's cut. And of course, every certified ARC consultant is trained to know exactly what kind of ridge cap it is. So I'm going to go ahead and document just a photo here, the underside of it, and even the underside. And that'll give us enough information to take to the insurance to prove the quality of what's up here. Okay? Okay guys, so now what we've done is we've collected a lot of different evidence on all over the roof, on different variables. So we know exactly what we're looking for now once we start looking at the shingles. And we're gonna start on the front face of this roof. We're gonna draw a test area with chalk, a 10-foot by 10-foot area. Because honestly, when insurance comes out here on this particular house, because of the hail damage, they're going to do the same thing. We want to play by their rules and their game. So I've learned and taught all of our team to do the same thing. So we're all on the same page and it's easier for us to work with them if we play their game and play it well. So what we're going to do is chalk out a 10 by 10 test square with chalk. And then within that, we need to find at least 7 to 8, sometimes all the way up to 12 different hail damaged shingles depending on the insurance carrier that you may have. Every carrier has their own set of rules and every adjuster has a little bit different pace and the way that they like to do it. So we are very well versed all over the entire spectrum of all different carriers. So it's very important for us to know what carrier you have before we even begin our inspection. All right. Well, that was fun. Just got off the roof. And now I definitely would suggest us going to take a look at the attic from what we saw. So we'll go knock on the door, see if we'll get let in to go see where that attic door is. All right, here we go. All right, so now here we are, we're in the attic, and normally what we would look for when we get in the attic is things that may or may not be touching the roof deck from the underside of the roof. And so the first thing I notice when we get up here is we've got an attic fully enclosed, insulated by spray foam. So that's, definitely great for us doing the inspection because we don't have to inspect near as much as we normally would. All of the things that we normally look for example, we have some gas lines right below me running down on the floor Some are traveling into other parts of the attic. Normally any gas line that might be elevated up, running down higher towards the roof line, down a wall, I would be able to see and make sure that those are a minimum of 2 inches away from the roof deck. Same thing goes with any refrigerant lines coming from your AC unit. Now we have a big long refrigerant line right to my right, and you can see it's insulated here, and you've got the copper line exposed. That's where all the Freon is traveling from your AC unit to the inside of your system here. And we want to make sure that this is not touching the roof deck as well. This is probably the most common thing that I see that's faulty or not up to code when I'm doing an attic inspection, is this refrigerant line is touching the roof deck a lot. Sometimes I can actually manipulate it and move it while I'm there, but sometimes we recommend to call your HVAC company out to have them relocate that line and move it far enough away so that a new nail through a new shingle that we install doesn't penetrate and hit that. That can be a pricey expense, an emergency situation, especially if it's summertime and you all of a sudden don't have AC in your house for 1 to 2 days. So we always want to make sure to do our preliminary inspections inside the attic so that we can actually have fun because we prepared, right? So in this attic, we don't have to look for all of that stuff because everything touching the roof has already, or should have been already, moved by the insulation person enough away from the roof deck before they actually spray foamed this whole attic. One other just random fact about spray foam attics is you'll notice once we start moving around, there's no ventilation through the roof or through the roof deck in the spray foam sections of this house. That is very, very important. You never want to have an opening to the outside element if your attic is fully encapsulated with spray foam. So we can always talk more about that if you want to ask your consultant for more education on maybe you want to transform your attic space into a spray foam space. We can also help with that, or vice versa. All right, now next thing we're gonna do is we're gonna go to where the furnace is and see if it's electric or see if it's gas to determine if we need to pull out our carbon monoxide tester to make sure that there's no poisonous gases that you're unaware of. So we'll go ahead and walk over here and do that. Okay, so before we get out of this part of the attic, we actually have another section of the attic we need to go look at. But I noticed we've got this whole furnace here, and we wanted to determine if we need to do a carbon monoxide test. So I brought my carbon monoxide test reader here. I'm gonna go ahead and turn it on. It should read 0. And the reason I say that is because this is not a gas unit, it's electric. So there should not be any carbon monoxide reading in this attic right now. So I just turned it on and you can actually see it is reading all zeros. I'm gonna take a photo of that just to show that. But if this was a gas furnace, I would want to also make sure it reads all zeros. And if it didn't, I would want to indicate that to the to you or to the homeowner, whoever is in the house, and recommend to call an HVAC company right away. Now, another pipe or another gas appliance that could be in your attic is from the water heater. Now in this home, there's a tankless water heater. So again, it's unnecessary. But if you don't have a tankless water heater, those are actually more common to have issues where they do have carbon monoxide leaks, especially if you have had a roofing company or a roofer on your roof doing work or replacing your entire roof that's not as competent. A lot of times they can actually knock those off track, and you always want to make sure to do a test or to go back in the attic after your roof is done to make sure that those are still intact, connected properly, and not reading anything except for 0. So now we're going to go take a look at the other side of the attic before we actually get out of here. So I'll see you on the other side. All right, so here we are in the other part of the attic. We went through a door, entered into this other space, and I realized I got a little bit cold because it's cold outside. This attic space is not insulated like the other space, so I had to put my jacket on. Thank you for allowing that to happen. While I was always over here as well, I noticed that these two long pipes were in here, and I didn't realize that these were actually coming from that furnace over there that I thought was electric. Well, it happens to be actually gas. So you actually have gases flowing out of this pipe when the heater is running. And that's a dual system. So you actually have fresh air coming in through here and the hot air and gases coming out through the same chamber split by two. So I actually brought my carbon monoxide tester over here, and I'd like to just confirm one last time where the exhaust part is on the roof and just make sure that we're safe. And then I'll go ahead and document that as well. So as this starts to turn on, I don't have to hold it too close, but I just want to hold it far enough away so it'll actually read it. And we're showing all zeros, so we're good. Nothing to worry about, no alarm, no red flag. So we're gonna go ahead and put that up and finish our inspection in here. So this is a great spot where I'm at because I see a lot of things happening just where I'm at. First thing I notice is if I look around where those perforated holes were, the soffit vents, when we were outside the house and we saw that's where fresh air is coming in, it was only over the garage where we're over right now. And I can see in 2 to 3 different places where those soffit vents were, I can see light coming in through those places. I know they're not clogged. I know fresh air is able to come in through there. And I look directly above my head, and you've got a ridge here, and you've got a ridge over there. And right above my head, there is actually ridge vents cut into the ridge right above my head so that the air in here can circulate. Fresh air gets pulled in through the attic floor through the soffit vents, and a full 100% air exchange happens by exhausting it through the ridge here. So all the heat and all the moisture is going to escape, keep this attic dry in the winter and cool in the summer. So aside from the ventilation, that's one of the most important topics that we can do for you to tailor the right ventilation setup for your house so that we can maximize your energy efficiency, lower those AC bills at least a little bit, make your roof last a little longer, and actually protect from hail and not have it dry out and get as brittle and age as fast. So you got a lot of different benefits just from ventilation. So ask your consultant about a ventilation analysis diagram to educate you on what your home is best suited for. Aside from that, I'm going to take a step up real quick just a little bit right here. I notice right in this area here, there is some water stains. And these water stains seem to be coming from the roof right in this section. And they're actually a little bit of water trailing down here and a little bit of water trailing down here. I don't see any stains on the actual sheetrock where it might be entering the garage, which is great. But it's great that we're aware of it now so that we can mitigate anything needed temporarily while we figure out what we're going to do to move forward. Aside from that, just taking pictures of what's up here to know what type of roof deck there is. So in this roof, you can see all of the foil on the actual plywood. That means it's a radiant barrier plywood. So it prevents the heat from transferring from the shingles through the actual plywood into the attic. It helps mitigate that a little bit. Also, we've got in between each set of pieces of plywood, there's a bracket, a metal bracket called a deck clip. That is very important for the integrity of the roof structure. And those are actually required under certain circumstances. So that always adds a lot of value to make sure that those are actually there. And then the width between each rafter here is 24 inches apart. That means deck clips are 100% required to have to meet code compliance. So we always talk a little bit about a code here and there just to make sure everybody is safe, everything's done the right way, and it passes all inspections. So I think that wraps it up here. Everything is pretty good. We've got a couple little leaks or stains happening that aren't causing too severe damage. We're going to notate, and we'll let you know once we get inside the house what we're going to do to take care of that. So thanks again for kind of following us around today. It's been a crazy, awesome journey, and really excited to have you with us today. And now we're gonna wrap up, load everything up in our truck, and we'll meet you inside the home. All right, we gotta hold up just 1 minute. As we were kind of getting ready to leave this part of the attic, I just noticed one last thing, and I know most people wouldn't even notice stuff like this, but for me, it's really, really important. We've got 2 cracked rafters, which are these boards that are holding up the roof. And now we haven't even, put any weight on this roof. So this was like this already, and I need to notify that. And I also want to talk to, you guys about if you want me to fix this before anything happens to your roof, before any replacement happens, because if this gets pretty bad and people are actually walking on your roof, especially loading shingles and bundles and all these materials on your roof, if we apply any more pressure on here, this could snap. And this rafter is pretty close to where all the gas pipe is running, and I definitely don't want to cause any risk for anything serious happening. So my recommendation, of course, would be to sister in a new rafter from the inside and come in here before any work gets done to strengthen the integrity of that rafter as if it was never cracked. And that could be something super cheap that can save you a lot of money and a lot of issues down the road if you don't get it fixed. So I'm gonna go ahead and document that real quick. And we can talk about what that looks like, how much that would cost. And we've also got one right here. This one's not as bad, but it's enough to at least document to let you guys know what's going on. So, all right, so I think now we can get on out of here, and I'll meet you inside. Thanks. All right, well, that concludes the attic inspection. Thanks for giving us a chance to take a look at your home, see what's up on your roof, kind of get educated a little bit. Now we're gonna go ahead and just load up the truck since we're all finished up. I'm gonna grab my notes and I'm gonna grab my laptop, and then why don't we go ahead and we'll go inside, sit down at the kitchen table. That way I can show you some photos and then see what's going on with everything, and then I can let you know what the next step is. So let me grab my laptop and all my notes. Let's see, we're good? All right, and we'll see you at the kitchen.